we all kind of grow up clinging to this really comforting belief, don't we?
Oh, absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
sort of the foundational premise of professional life. If I just do high quality work, if I'm excellent enough,
Recognition will find me. Yeah.
exactly.
Well,
Clients, opportunities, they'll all just
mhm.
arrive. It suggests this really tidy, merit-based world.
It's a lovely thought. It really is. Because it means you just have to keep your head down, focus on your craft. But if we really look at the sources we've synthesized for today, they challenge this belief quite forcefully, actually.
Right.
We have to start with a crucial distinction. The market does not reward what it cannot see. That's step one.
And step two, which I think is the part that causes all this deep professional frustration.
That's it. Step two is that the market rarely rewards the best. And by best, I mean, the person with the absolute highest technical skill or the most nuance.
It rewards.
It rewards the most trusted. And that's our mission today. We're going to investigate what our sources call the architecture of visible authority.
We want to unpack why being visible, trusted, and understood can actually be a bigger shortcut to opportunity than just pure technical excellence.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's start there. In that place of quiet frustration,
Mm-hmm.
you know the people we're talking about. The highly capable coaches, the really experienced consultants.
Brilliant creatives, people with deep integrity who deliver results. They've been doing the work for years.
But they feel completely overlooked.
They do, and what really sparks that resentment is watching others. They see someone who maybe they're newer to the field or they speak with less technical depth.
Right, less nuance.
And yet that person is commanding higher prices, attracting a bigger audience. Opportunity just seems to flow to them.
And the internal monologue is just screaming, I am objectively better than this person.
And that feeling, that sense of this isn't fair, it feels completely right based on how we think it should work. But the sources suggest the market isn't broken.
It's just responding to a different metric.
Precisely. The gap isn't about a lack of value. It's a lack of value translation. It's a positioning problem.
This raises a really important question, though, and I'm sure it's on your mind as you're listening.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't rewarding positioning over technical skill just encourage mediocrity? Are we just talking about marketing hype?
That's the fear, isn't it? That if you focus on visibility, you're somehow abandoning your depth.
Yeah.
But the sources are clear. Genuine authority has to be built on a foundation of excellence. The focus just shifts from achieving excellence in private to demonstrating it in public.
Which means we have to redefine authority itself.
We do, because our typical association is all wrong. We think authority is about dominance, ego, maybe being the loudest person in the room, noise.
And if that were true, the person with the biggest marketing budget would always win. And we know that's not the whole story.
Not at all. True authority in this context is much more subtle. It is clarity, it is consistency. And this is the critical part. It's the feeling of certainty people get when they encounter you or your work.
So it's about legibility.
Exactly. When a potential client decides, okay, I trust them, they're not running a 10-page background check on your CV.
No, they're evaluating something much more immediate, more primal.
They're mentally checking off 3 little boxes that turn your abstract skill into immediate market trust. The sources break it down like this. 1, I understand who they are.
They have a distinct identity.
2, I understand what they stand for, a clear point of view. And 3, I understand how they help. The path to the result is clear.
When those 3 things line up, trust comes before the technical deep dive.
And this is where we hit what the sources call the tragedy of brilliance.
Why do these brilliant, high-integrity people stay invisible?
Because they refuse to make themselves legible. We see 2 big things that block them. First, they speak only in complexity.
Hiding their message behind jargon and nuance.
Because they feel that if they simplify, they're somehow cheapening their expertise.
Right, the consultant who says, we leverage synergistic modalities when they just mean we help your teams talk to each other.
Exactly that. The second behavior is they wait.
Always waiting to be ready.
They wait until they feel 100% ready. They think humility means you have to be silent until you've perfected everything. And while they're waiting in that quiet room, someone else steps out and just becomes familiar.
And that familiarity becomes a kind of currency, which brings us to a really uncomfortable truth from the sources.
It is uncomfortable.
Familiarity creates trust faster than excellence does.
It does, and it's because of how our brains are wired. We're always trying to reduce cognitive load and, well, feels safe.
You trust what we recognize.
Because recognition means we've processed it before, decided it's not a threat. Consistency feels like safety. So choosing the clear, consistent option is an act of a risk mitigation. It's not a rejection of quality.
So if I see one person explaining the same clear idea over and over again, even if I suspect someone else's idea is more complex or technically better, the first person is just easier to choose. It takes less mental energy.
Correct. The sources really hammer this point. Repetition matters more than brilliance. The clearest message, repeated, beats the most sophisticated idea that only shows up once in a while. Authority isn't about being the smartest. It's about being the most understood.
Let's use that market versus classroom analogy from the sources. I think it makes this so clear.
It's a great one. In a classroom, the system is set up to grade effort, right? Deep study, accuracy. The best student, the one who works the hardest, gets the prize.
The metric is all internal calibration.
But the market, the real world, it plays by totally different rules.
When you do a search or ask for a recommendation, the market isn't looking at your homework.
No. The market responds to signals of certainty. When you show up, confidently, consistently, clearly, people project competence onto you.
Because you've made their decision easy. You've made it feel safe.
The market's primary question is basically, can I trust this person to guide me from A to B without things going wrong? Technical perfection is, well, it's a secondary concern.
So if the guide seems uncertain or speaks in a way that's too complex, they get rejected, no matter how skilled they actually are.
That is the heart of it. And this means you have to recognize that authority is not something you claim after you've already made it.
You can't wait for success to anoint you.
No, it's something you have to actively demonstrate before the market rewards you.
Okay, so let's shift. We've defined the problem. How do you actually solve it? What does this public demonstration of authority look like in practice for you listening right now?
It's about moving your expertise out of your head and into the world. The first key action is to teach publicly.
Don't hoard your best ideas.
Exactly. Share your frameworks. A consultant shouldn't just deliver a final report. They should publish the model they used to think about the problem in the first place.
So you give away the thinking, not just the answer.
Exactly. The second action is to articulate your thinking process. We need to see how the sausage is made, not just the final product.
Show your work.
Share your strong opinions. Detail your methodology. For a creative, this means don't just show the finished painting. Show the sketches, the failed attempts, the revised ideas. Invite people into your mind.
And the third one, which we've touched on, is repetition.
You have to repeat your core message until you are inseparable from it. You get bored of it long before the market even notices it.
You're not repeating it for you. You're repeating it for the person who only sees your work once every few months.
And finally, and this is maybe the hardest one, you have to allow yourself to be seen while you're still evolving.
Oof.
Release the idea before it's perfectly polished.
And that's the barrier, isn't it? Visibility feels so risky. Expression invites judgment. And as an expert, you know every rule has 10 exceptions, so committing to one clear stance feels terrifying.
The fear of being wrong or of being called out for simplifying something becomes a cage. But authority is built in public, not in private perfection. The cost of staying invisible is, it's emotional first.
Self-doubt, questioning your own worth.
Shrinking ambition. And it often disguises itself as humility. Oh, I'm not ready yet.
I'm just being humble.
Right. And the sources challenge that directly. They argue that sometimes invisibility is just fear wearing the soft name of humility. Readiness is not a prerequisite for leadership.
Which brings us to the success paradox.
Yeah.
This is the really controversial idea that many of the most financially successful people, they weren't actually the most skilled in a purely technical sense.
No, they weren't necessarily the undisputed masters, but what they were was early.
Early to speak, early to publish.
Early to plant their flag and position themselves as the clear voice on a subject. They claimed that conceptual territory before the truly brilliant people felt ready to come out of the lab.
They became the authority, not because they knew everything, but because they were willing to explain the basics clearly before anyone else was. They filled a vacuum.
And in doing so, they made the market feel safe. And safety converts. It really does. This shifts the whole conversation away from ego and toward ethical contribution.
Talk about that. If you have an insight that could save someone time or pain, but you stay silent because you're afraid of being judged.
You're choosing your own comfort over contribution. You're effectively withholding value.
So when authority is built with integrity, It's actually an act of service.
Absolutely. And to really cement this, we need to define the two roles here. You have the experts,
Experts collect information, they focus on accuracy, and they wait to be discovered.
and then you have the authorities. They translate information. They focus on understanding above all else. They make a conscious decision to be seen. They stop hiding.
And when you accept this truth, the mindset shift is huge. You stop being resentful of the people who are visible,
You stop waiting for someone to tap you on the shoulder. You stop mistaking silence for integrity.
and you start asking better questions.
You do. You shift from, am I good enough yet, to, how can I explain this more clearly? How can I show my thinking? How can I make it easier for a stranger to trust me?
How can I show up consistently?
Yes. And when you focus on legibility, not just loudness, people start to recognize you. They reference you. They trust you. Not because you became some marketing machine, but because you became the clearest signal in the noise. You became legible.
So for you listening, what does this all mean? The key takeaway is that the market isn't cruel or unfair. It just responds to what it can see.
If you are capable and thoughtful and ethical, this is not an invitation to abandon your values and start shouting.
No, it's an invitation to express those values, to teach what you know, to let your work be seen even when it's still in process. The instruction is just to show up.
When you take responsibility for being understood, the world responds to that signal of certainty.
Which leaves us with the final question to think about from our sources. Do you believe the market should reward the best, or do you accept that the market rewards those who take responsibility for being understood?
Because authority, at the end of the day, is about allowing your excellent work to finally matter out loud.